Hey there, everybody. Welcome into this edition of ESPN FC's Extra Time. I'm Sebastian Salazar, and on this Thursday, we have a load of questions for you and a great panel to answer them. Frank Leboeuf, Shaka, Hislop, and Stewart, Robson. First question, do any of you have a better player facial expression than Frank Leboeuf does for this player card? Classic. And look at that. Our graphics team has found it. Frank, what is happening here?
I think I remember that game. I think I was looking to the referee to tell him, are you sure your eyes are okay? Because I think he didn't see some Wimbledon player hitting me in the head, head-butting me. And I think I was looking at the ref, hey ref, come on, open your eyes, and they took the picture.
Frank.
Between the eyes and the haircut, yeah.
Frank, what was going on with the tuft on top of your head? Surely you should have shaved it off by then.
Period of transition. He was in a period of transition.
Yeah, it lasted like 4 months before Vialli came to my room at the hotel and said, okay, come on, Frenchie, we have to cut you, we have to trim your head. Bye-bye.
Probably the right decision. Who is the easiest player on one of your teams to play with? Asked Dan the Orange Man, a popular Twitter handle here. Were you always on the same page like Son and Kane? Robbo, anybody you fit in well with on any of your teams?
Well, I played with some good players, but the player that I enjoyed playing with when I was at Coventry was a player called Lloyd McGrath, and he wasn't particularly skillful. He didn't have a passing range, but we played as a midfield too. He let me go and do what I wanted to do. I could try and run the game, and he would do all the defensive work. He'd track all their runners back, and he was an ideal foil for me. So I loved playing with him for a year. He was a great partner to be with.
Frank, you got some good choices on your playing resume. Who was the easiest player on one of your teams to play with?
Well, of course, everybody's expecting me to say Marcel Desailly because Marcel Desailly was the rock, and it was easy to play with him. But I want to mention Steve Clark. I mean, when I played alongside Steve Clark, it was easy to play. The guy was a real warrior, real soldier, knew how to play, technically very good, very smart, in covering each other. It was very easy. We connected straight ahead, and I played 2 years alongside him, and it was a real pleasure.
Shaka, you're a goalie. Does it matter for goalies?
Of course it does. In a couple of ways, and so I'll call two players here. Defensively, the player I enjoyed playing with most was Ian Pearce. I just think we kind of understood each other and our own positioning. So, if I was coming for a cross or what, he would always be right there to cover. Or it was just easy playing behind Ian Pearce. And then up at the other end, Les Ferdinand was just so easy because when it came to kicking the ball, as we did back then, Les was just so strong in the air. All you had to do was hang the ball up, and you knew he was going to win it.
Next question. Out of respect of the former team, what is the craziest thing that you have seen a player do? Like, has anyone declined to play against their former or childhood team? Robbo?
I can't remember that. I won't mention the player, but we were coming back on a bus. We just played Chelsea. I was playing for West Ham. And I realised that we didn't have a lot of characters in our club when this player said on the coach coming back, he said, Christmas is coming, I'm getting a bit of stick off the fans at the moment, so over Christmas I'm not going to play the home games, I'll just play the away games. that summed up West Ham at the time.
Wow. Frank, you ever had a similar situation?
I had two situations who made me think that those guys were completely crazy and I don't know, not belonging to the same planet. One day was Frank Sinclair scoring a goal and decided to put his shorts on, below his knee. And I don't know what kind of celebration was that. And I say, well, that guy is not belonging to that planet. And the other one, he was Torre Andre Flo. Fantastic player, but never upset or never get any anxiety about anything. And one day he came to the stadium and maybe an hour before the game realized he didn't have his boots to play. And I said, how are you going to do it? I said, oh, it's okay, my wife is about to come, and so I'm gonna wait for her. And he wasn't nervous. I would have gotten crazy and very sorry about the situation. He was okay. And she arrived like 45 minutes before kickoff, And he was okay. So I said, well, those guys don't belong to the same planet.
Robbo, is Serie A the most entertaining and competitive league in the world right now? What do you think?
It's probably the most competitive because there's 3 or 4 teams that can win it at the moment. I wouldn't say it's always the most entertaining. There's some very good games that are being played at the moment, but there's some poor games as well. And sometimes when the top teams play the bottom teams, it's not competitive enough. The teams at the bottom are just happy to get a 2-0 defeat rather than actually going to try and win it. Mind you could say that about the Premier League as well. So I think it's the most competitive at the moment, but maybe not the most entertaining.
Shaka, I heard that laugh. What do you have against Serie A?
Nothing. I didn't laugh. That wasn't me.
Oh, no?
That was not me.
Frank?
It was me. Yeah. Well, I know. I mean, the Italian league was the best league in the world in the 90s. That's for sure. But now I think the Serie A is in the 4th position. You have the English league, then the German or the Spanish league, and then you will appear. The Serie A will appear. But it can be entertaining, as Robo said, because you see good games and it's difficult to know who's going to win the league this season. But the past, 7, 8 years, it was Juve, and that's it. And it was quite boring. So I wouldn't say that the Serie A is the most entertaining and competitive league in the world.
Robbo, Grealish or Foden? These are the good ones. Who deserves to be England's number 10?
Well, I don't think Grealish plays in the number 10 position. Grealish would like to play out on the left-hand side and come in on his right foot and play little 1-2s. And he's had an excellent season so far. And I don't think he's played in the number 10 position particularly often for Aston Villa or when he was coming up through the youth teams. Foden likes that position. He can play anywhere behind the main players. But I'm going to go for the way he's played this season. I think Grealish could play there. And I think I would put him in before Foden at the moment.
What past players does Erling Haaland remind you of most? Frank, let's start with you because you've gone up against the best forwards.
Definitely, it looks like the player I just talked about, Torre Flo. As tall as him, technically good, very smart. He seems to be a nice guy. Yeah. He made me think of Torre Flo.
Shaka, Haaland seems to be a nice guy. Who does that remind you of?
Well, I'm not sure who it reminds me of as being a nice guy, but certainly in terms of a player, it reminds me of Alan Shearer in so many ways. In that how good a finisher he is, left, right, or with the head. Doesn't impress you as being overly quick, but can somehow always find himself the other side of a defense, which Alan Shearer seemed to do invariably as well. So just in terms of playing styles, Alan Shearer, I have no idea what Erling Haaland is like personally.
All right, so we got Torre Flo, we got Alan Shearer. Robert, who are you comparing him to?
I'm going to say Ian Rush. But did I just hear Shaka say that Haaland wasn't particularly quick? He's electrically quick. He can run beyond players with great ease. And I would say he's a bit like Ian Rush. When Ian Rush was in his prime, playing for Liverpool, his movement was brilliant. He'd get in behind. When he got in behind, he'd finish really well. And that's exactly what Haaland is doing at the moment. So that's a great comparison, I think.
All right, guys.
To
that
point, Robbo, sorry. I just get the feeling that when you see, like Shearer or Haaland, just running in a straight line with nobody around them, you just never get the impression that they're quick. Yet somehow, every time they have the ball at their feet, they are able to get round the defender. They're able to find space and keep defenders off. But just when you see them just on their own, I never find myself thinking, yeah, he's quite clearly quick, But then on the field with players around, it just impresses you differently.
Erling Haaland, not fast enough for the Premier League. That's what I heard, Shaka Hislop. That's what I heard. What is the most amount?
I'm a much faster runner than Erling Haaland. That's what I was saying.
Yeah. What's the most amount of red cards you've ever seen seen a side receive in a game? Robbo?
I think it's only 2. I can't remember where it was, but I remember playing against 9 players on a couple of occasions and still not beating them. So I think it's only 2 players that I've actually seen sent off when I've been playing.
Frank?
Played in Qatar, a game we never finished because the away team, the opponent, they had 4 or 5 red cards, and after when you're only 7 against 11, the game stops and you lose 3-0, I think.
Were they trying to end the game? Like once you get down to 8 guys, you know you can't get another red card. What were they doing?
Now they got the red card and they stopped the game. And the ref gave another red card, and I think the 5th guy did it on purpose to stop the game because they were already losing 6-0. So therefore they lost only 3-0. I don't know if it counts, but it what happens. And I saw that at the end of my career. It was really funny to only play like 60 minutes and win 3-0. Good story.
Shaka, maybe a week ago you were telling us about a game you got sent off in with what, 2 or 3 of your teammates, right?
Yeah, it was 3 of us. West Ham at home to Chelsea, I think it was 99. Ian Wright got sent off in the first half. I got sent off early in the second. And then Steve Lomas followed us into the dressing room not too long after.
Nice.
So we finished the game with 8. Yeah, that was good. That was fun.
Shaka, last question for you. Should goalkeepers be rested for the midweek games?
Yeah, I think goalkeepers can benefit from rest just as much as outfield players. I keep telling you, Seb, we're the hardest workers on the field. I've been trying to tell you that for years, but you're not listening.
It's the mental weight that the goalie position carries, right, Shaka?
Well, we carry the team, you'll find, more times than not. So that's exhausting.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN Plus.